Okay, welcome back to Venna Teaches, and we are doing another Hail to the Heroes episode, dealing with our healthcare workers and what their Herculean task and their heroic efforts to combat this COVID-19 and to try to keep us healthy and to do the best to treat us when we get sick. And we talked about our nurses Tuesday. We're going to do a shout out to our physicians today. And then on Saturday, we are going to talk about all the auxiliary folks that a lot of people don't always realize are working towards the same end with the nurses and the doctors. You've got your pharmacists, you've got the maintenance staff, you've got the janitorial staff, you've got the people in the dining hall in the dining facilities and hospitals. You have the people, the receptionists, you have people at the doctor's office who are in close personal contact with people coming in. These are the unsung heroes, guys. These are your real superheroes. So we're going to talk a little bit about physicians today. Now, have you ever gotten upset with your physician? Have you ever wondered, why am I waiting in this waiting room for 5 hours? My appointment was at 11. It's 1:30. I'm still here. Okay. Oh, we've all gotten upset. He didn't call me back, the nurse's line. Well, my doctor, she didn't. Okay, we've all gotten upset with our doctors, but I'm fixing to tell you a story. And after I tell you the story, you're going to love your doctor. Because let me tell you what we're dealing with right now. Our doctors right now are the most advanced, trained, medically sound, scientifically equipped doctors of all time. And every day they are learning something new to combat this disease, this virus. And see, I think in my little head here, with how we have learned so much in such a short period of time about this deadly virus, I think it's going to just catapult us into hopefully learning about new ways to combat other bad diseases, cancer, lupus, AIDS, all of these things. Maybe the silver lining, which is tough to see, is that this urgency to fight the coronavirus will continue to go for all of these other diseases that we are trying so desperately to stop as well. So here's the story. George Washington, you know of him, of course. George Washington, very, very smart guy. Okay. He was in the British military, fought in the French and Indian War. He was the commander of the Continental Army when we fought against Great Britain for our independence. Okay. All right. So he was that. Then he becomes the first president of the United States, served 2 terms. He was a farmer. He was a statesman. This guy was really, really smart. But let me tell you what happened. And you're going to appreciate your doctor, because one day, George Washington was riding around his farm on a cold, damp, rainy day. And I know that people will say, that's not what gives you the common cold. I don't believe it. That's just my brain. You stay out in the cold, in the damp, keep your wet clothes on, and never get warm, I think you get sick. Now, that's just me. I know that maybe a lot of people don't believe that way, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, George Washington had been riding out in his field, wet, didn't want to be late for his meal, so he came in these wet, dampy clothes when it was cold outside, never changed until after he ate. So he sat in there in wet clothes because he didn't want to be rude, because he was a gentleman. Okay. Well, he wakes up with a bad sore throat and chills and some heavy congestion on his chest. And then the next day it gets worse. All right. Typical. I'm not going to sit here on Venna Teaches and say typical man does not go get checked. I'm not going to say that because it's not right for me to judge. I just did paint a broad brush, right? We don't want to paint people with a broad brush. So I'm not stereotyping men who refuse to go to the doctor because they can beat it. I'm not even going to mention that. But anyway, here comes George Washington's doctor. I'm not even going to say his name because his family members may be watching one day, but bless them, they don't know any better. He decides that one of the best things he could do for George Washington at the time is bloodlet him. Now, this is a family show, but if you're squeamish, okay, bloodletting is an old practice. There was all this group of scientists and people that believe that your body has 4 humors, not ha-ha humors, but H-U-M-O-U-R-S humors, and it was blood and phlegm, okay, yellow bile and black bile. Your body's made up of these 4 things. And when they don't stay in balance, that's when you get sick. And usually a lot of them felt that the blood, you'd have too much blood and it was throwing everything off balance. So the doctor comes in and says, you know what, I think I'm on bloodlet you. And George Washington says, yes, please. That's what they did. So they cut a few little cuts in his arm, and about 12, 18 ounces of blood left. Because, that's what everybody needs when they're very, very sick and already dehydrated. Let's just go ahead. Y'all, that's what they thought. Shockingly, he did not get any better. So guess what they did next? Doctors. They take it's called a Spanish fly. This is the PG version, family version. It ain't the Spanish fly that all my adult people are thinking about. It is part of a beetle. It's a beetle, and it's a blistering beetle. Now, because this will work, they put this Spanish fly, the juice of this beetle, down his throat so that it would blister up, because they hoped in those blisters, when they popped, okay, that all the gunk would come out of his throat and that he would get better. So he's lost 12 to 18 ounces of blood. He's been given something to blister his throat. That doesn't work, so you know what they do next? They give him an enema. And then they give him something to make him vomit. So, look, poor George Washington sitting there saying, bring it on. And then they said, look, you're not getting any better. Maybe we should get some more blood out. And he says, okay, good, let's do this. This is a smart man, and this is what they did. Y'all, they didn't know any better. That's what they did. So by the end of it, before this poor man dies a miserable death, they've taken about 80 ounces of his blood. He's dehydrated because he's, gone to the bathroom, throwing up. This is the medicine of 1799. Thank goodness things have changed. Okay, look back at some of these deals where people think they're doing the best thing, and we look back and think, how could you have thought that was a good idea? The bubonic plague, and the doctors are saying, don't go outside. Don't open the windows. And for goodness sake, do not bathe. Okay, aren't you glad you're living right now in an age where at least we know that hygiene's important and we don't bloodlet? Okay, hey, love on your physician today. When they give you a course of antibiotics, say thank you for the antibiotics. Thank you for the muscle relaxer for my back. Thank you for having the technology to take care of me and my ailments. The doctors are beginning to and have been knocking this out of the park. So, aren't we glad we have our precious, wonderful physicians now? To all the women and men, all of you out there, doctors working tirelessly around the clock, thank you, for putting yourself at risk, your families at risk to help others. Now, we're going to talk about other healthcare workers, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to talk about something that went awry, because everybody likes a good, gross story. Look for a special, I can't do a cocktail conspiracy in January because for some reason we signed up for dry January. So no one's having any alcoholic beverages, and it just, mocktail conspiracy hour just doesn't, I don't know. There's nothing, I can't do it. But I'm going to tell you the story of Typhoid Mary. Ooh, listen, this woman, asymptomatic super spreader. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hang tight for that story. You're going to love it. It's interesting. It's history. It's Venna Teaches. I would love for you to like this video, subscribe to this channel. I would be honored if you would, because we're just going to have a good time here, learn some history, learn some civics, and we're going to be learning more about some great superheroes this month in our Hail to the Heroes month. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see y'all on Saturday.